The time is 6:15. This is a special closed session for the Emeryville City Council. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Here.
Councilmember Solomon.
Here.
Councilmember Welch. Here. Vice Mayor Carr.
Present.
And Mayor Mora.
Here.
Thank you.
Members, do you have any ex parte communications to report? Seeing and hearing none, now is the time for public comment on closed session items. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on closed session items? Seeing none, we will now move to item 5, the closed session, and we will be taking item 5.1 and 5.2 in closed session. The time is 6:15. The time is 6:30. We are now returned from closed session. Mr. City Attorney, anything to report?
Thank you, Mayor Mora. There was no reportable action taken in closed session this evening.
Thank you. The time is 6:30. This meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:30. This is a special meeting of the Emeryville City Council. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Here.
Councilmember Solomon?
Here.
Councilmember Welch? Vice Mayor Carr?
Present.
And Mayor Mora.
Here. Members, do we have a motion to approve the final agenda?
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch? Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now is the time for ex parte communications. Members, do you have any ex parte communications to report? Seeing and hearing none. Oh, Member Welch.
You all received the communication for that, so it's part of the public record. Thank you.
Now is the time for public comment on items not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on any items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll now move to the action items. First, we have action 6.1. This is our Community Advisory Committee appointments. And we have several sub-items for each of the committees for which we've received applications. Let's start with, I'd actually like to start with the committees that have just one appointment. So first we have the Bike Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So this is item 6.1.1. Madam Clerk, would you be able to give an overview of the Bike Pedestrian Committee?
I'm sorry, Mayor, meaning,
Just the description of the committee.
oh, yes, can you give me just a second, please? The Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee provides input and recommendations regarding city policies, priorities, and feedback related to the city's bicycle pedestrian plan and related initiatives. It is a 9-member committee made up of 2 business representatives or community members and 7 community members.
Thank you, April. So we have 2 applicants for one position, which is either a business rep or community member. I'd like to actually open public comment, during which time I'd encourage any applicants who would like to speak on this item can come forward, and just you can mention that you're an applicant or if you're speaking to comment on the item. So we have Parminder Dhingra and Lev Lazinski. So anybody who would like to make public comment on this item, including the applicants, can come to the podium, and you'll have 2 minutes. Seeing no members of the public, we'll now move to discussion. Members, you've all received the applications for this. Are there any discussion items or a motion for this?
Are any of the applicants present for the BPAC? Is Parminder Dhingra or Lev Lazinski present?
They don't seem to be here. But we do have their applications, and we are still able to make an appointment if we would like to.
Uh, oh,
Member Pryforce, go ahead.
sorry about that. Sorry. Parminder, and I apologize if I'm butchering your name, has been a resident of Emeryville for quite some time, even though currently they are not a resident of Emeryville. But I would probably sway on their expertise on seeing how they can recognize how Emeryville has changed in terms of its bike and pedestrian infrastructure, and so I would recommend them as over Lev Lazinski, although their application was sort of on the same par with Parminder, so nothing exceptional. So, but I would probably err towards someone who's been around the block for a little bit.
If that is a motion, then I can second it.
Ms. Mayor, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, go ahead.
And perhaps for the city clerk, if that's okay, just because we have redacted information on the application, just to confirm that Parminder's is doing business in Emeryville.
That's correct,
Okay. I
Councilmember
just want to
Solomon.
make sure I was reading that correctly.
I did have one concern with the application, and this was given that the applicant does not actually live in the city, and it didn't seem, the application did not seem to speak to items related to bike or pedestrian issues, whereas the application for Lev Zazinski did. I would be in favor of a motion, or I would support the motion to appoint Lev to the position. And can I get clarification, Member Pryforce? Did you make a motion? Because a Vice Mayor was looking to second your motion.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion I am not apt to make a motion yet because you just made a motion, but sound like there was some discussion. So just to probably continue the discussion, I'm looking through Lev's application, and I don't really see any reference to anything related to bike and pedestrian. Could you help me understand what you're seeing that I'm not?
Member Welch?
He states why he's interested, and he notes that he is a new resident, but he feels inspired by the progress that has been made over the past 10 years and making Emeryville a safe and walkable place to live, and states that he wants to invest in keeping those values alive in the city and wants to be a collaborator. And so I completely understand and recognize and celebrate that we have a business owner that does want to be a part of a committee. It doesn't, Parminder, and again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, they've now lived out of Emeryville for almost 20 years, and they say that they have properties and apparently some convenience stores here, but it sounds like that we have a candidate that is very interested in the infrastructure that we've built here in Emeryville and wanting to invest in that further and thinking about moving forward how that infrastructure, they can celebrate it with growing a family and how it would impact them as they are actually currently a resident. And that is, it sounds like that might have been one of the reasons why they actually moved here, because they were impressed with the infrastructure.
Thank you, Member Welch. Vice Mayor?
You know, I was actually mixing up the two applications. I thought Parminder was the one who said that he had just moved here, and it looks like it was Lev. So I withdraw my comments earlier, and I actually would support Lev because he does live here in Emeryville.
Any other discussion or emotion? Member Pryforce?
So I would err on the side of Parminder because one of the things that was brought up in our commission's report in terms of our advisory committee makeup was a lack of diversity, particularly amongst the Asian community. And of course, Asian is a big umbrella. And so I don't know how many, it sounds like, and I'm making an assumption, since they went to high school in India, it sounds like they might be Indian American, and I don't know what kind of representation we have of Indian Americans currently amongst our committees. And so in conjunction with the amount of Asians that we have in Emeryville, compare that to the amount who actually serve on our committees, then I would rather emphasize that as a reason for choosing Parminder over Lev. One of the things about, especially when it comes to ethnic communities, is ethnic communities. There's a great book called God in Chinatown that talks about opportunities that open up. And what happens is that once those opportunities open up, then that ethnic community then becomes sort of a conclave. More people gravitate towards that community. And so that's, the story of America. And so, so being able to foster that kind of opportunity for people so that Parminder, who used to live in Emeryville, may return to Emeryville as a resident, especially since they seem to own properties in Emeryville. And so I would, I think that it is a good opportunity, and it would be good representation. What is Lev?
Any other discussion?
Did you have a comment, council member?
Vice
Okay,
Mayor?
Mike, okay.
I'm trying to find the roster for the bike and ped. I appreciate your comment, Councilmember Pryforce, but I'm trying to find out if there's representation. And looks like this is a business rep or community member, either or position. So that's a good point that you made. At this point, it's hard to make a decision for me, so I would have to look at the roster. Would you have the roster, Madam Clerk?
I have the roster, but it's just the names. I don't have any other information about these people other than when they're appointed.
I'll defer to Councilmember Solomon for
Member
further comments.
Solomon, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, and appreciate everyone's comments on this, and Councilman Pryforce certainly appreciate making sure that our community reflects, or our committees, reflect our community. I think in this instance, just to reemphasize that this person would only be serving for the next 7 months, and I certainly encourage whoever doesn't get chosen to apply again. I think just in this instance, I want to make sure that whoever's appointed to this committee is someone who has interest in bicycle and pedestrian issues, and we're operating, of course, off of a paragraph or two that people wrote, but I do think that Lev Lazinski expressed more interest and more familiarity with what we've done. So, Mr. Mayor, if you made a a secondary motion, I will,
I said I would support a motion, so if
Okay.
you'd like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Lev to the community member through 2026 seat.
I second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. The roll?
Councilmember Pryforce,
Nay.
Councilmember Solomon,
Aye.
Councilmember Welch,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr,
I'll abstain from that one.
and Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the Budget and Advisory Committee. This is item 6.1.2. Madam Clerk, would you be able to give an overview of what the Budget and Advisory Committee's responsibilities are?
Yes, Mayor. The Budget Advisory Committee provides input and recommendations regarding the city policies, priorities, and feedback related to the city's budget. It's a 5-member board made up of a city labor representative, 2 residents, and 2 business representatives.
So we have, again, 1 position, and we have 3 applicants. We have Calvin Dillahunty, Patricia Ordone Kim, and Dora Sway. And I'll now open public comment, and I'll ask if there are any applicants who would like to come up and speak to why they should be appointed. They're free to do so, but they are not required. Please come to the podium. You'll have 2 minutes. Welcome. You'll just have to pull the microphone closer.
Hi. Good evening, council members and members of the audience. My name is Dora Sue. I'm interested to join the Budget Committee as a way to give back to the community. Right now, I'm working at Emory Unified School District as the Chief Business Official. This year is my 13th year in the job in Emeryville. And then I take budgeting very seriously. And for me, it is not just a financial exercise. It is actually a way for us to look at the budget and allocate our restricted resources in alliance with our priorities. So with my over 20 years plus experience in the public finance, I believe I can make a positive contribution to the committee, helping them to make some balanced or informed budget decisions that will benefit the present and future of Emeryville. Thank you.
Thank you, Dora. Any other members of the public who would like to speak? Welcome.
Hello, members of the council. I am Calvin Dillahunty. Good evening, everybody. So I did write some things down, but I'm going to try to go a little bit off script. But I'm interested in serving for the Emeryville Budget Committee because I deeply care about how the city allocates its resources. Not just how our spending reflects and values and our priorities and our values, but Emeryville has a well-funded reputation for strong financial management. Our most recent audits show how genuinely healthy and balanced our reserves can fully be. But they're not always there. They're only at a 42%. I would love to be a part of the budget to get them at a 50%. Our slow revenue growth is slowly and surely rising. Just as important as I value transparency and collaboration, a budget process isn't just about numbers, it's about trust and about trust in the community. So I want to be ensured that the residents understand that where their tax dollars will go and why their choices are made, and how we can align our budget with the city's long-term vision. I understand I'm applying because I want to be a part of this thing and I want to actually serve, but I also want to be able to contribute, and I'd be honored to continue to live here and work here in Emeryville. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you for applying. Any other members of the public or applicants? We'll now take this back for discussion with the council. Members, any discussion? And I do just want to note that two of the applicants did apply for multiple positions. Patricia applied to 2 positions or 2 committees, and Calvin applied to 3 different committees. Member Pryforce.
So I have a preference for Dora. Dora, how do I pronounce your last name? Sue, right? Sue. Okay. So Dora Sue, through our ECCL partnership, I have seen Dora push out the numbers in in ways that have been very impressive. But I believe it's also her dedication to community service that comes across not just on her application, but in how she interacts with people. That Emory High is an amazing community, and you know, I'm a fan of their leadership, and I think that Dora has done a great job of working with them, and so I have a preference for Dora, as well as, once again, going back to diversity, the increasing our not only our representation, but we do have a lack of Asian American representation in our amongst our committees. So,
Other discussion or emotion? Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I also have seen Dora at the ECCL committee and have been very impressed by her presentations and her thoroughness. So I would definitely like to make that motion to appoint Dora Sue to the as the business rep for the Budget and Advisory Committee for year ending or term ending 2027.
Member Welch?
I just want to echo my colleague's sentiments. It's very rare that you get someone with Dora's background in municipal finance, which can be very complicated, even under the best of circumstances. And having that type of background, especially being familiar with municipal finance, parcel taxes, those type of issues, especially as we're going into potentially an election year that would maybe potentially put one of those on the ballot, I think it would be very helpful to have her voice on the committee, and appreciate everyone who did apply. Budgets are a statement of values, and we're very lucky to have people who have applied that do recognize that. And with that being said, I'd like to second the Vice Mayor's motion.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Pryforce?
aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next committee that we have that has one open position is Parks and Rec. So this is going to be item 6.1.5. And we have 3 applicants applying for one position. But maybe before we get started, Madam Clerk, would you be able to read the description for the Parks and Rec Committee?
Yes, the Parks and Recreation Committee provides input and recommendations regarding city policies, priorities, and feedback related to the city's recreation programs, cultural events and activities, public use of parks, development of new parks, and enhancement to existing parks and recreation facilities as outlined in the Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan. It's made up of 7 members. 6 of those are community members, and 1 is a planning commissioner who serves their 3-year term in conjunction with their planning commission appointment.
Thank you, April. So the position that's open is the community member, one of the community member positions. And we did receive 4 applicants, but I want to note that one applicant, Kibbe Kleiman, has withdrawn his application, so we'll be considering the other 3 applicants. At this time, I'll open public comment, and any of the applicants are free to come to the podium, or members of the public who'd like to speak on this item. Welcome, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you to the council members and members of the public for this opportunity to share my inspiration and vision for serving on the Parks and Rec Committee. And I'm Adriana. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. In the past several months, I've met local artists showcasing their work at the Emory Arts Exhibition, met the most fashionable dogs at the Harvest Festival this summer, and toured the exceptional artwork with Public Arts Committee members across Wareham's research facility, all of which happened in beautiful public spaces in Emeryville. While these events are seasonal, the public utilizes and appreciates Emeryville parks every day. I see it all the time walking on the Greenway year-round. I'm applying to serve on the Parks and Rec Committee to help continue community building activities in Emeryville parks. In this role, I would strive to celebrate local artisans and artists and businesses, as well as support the city's needs to improve community resilience, as noted in the newly approved local hazard mitigation plan from earlier this year, and provide emergency preparedness educational workshops in local parks. To gather in a beautiful, functional, educational park can be a wonderful third space and an opportunity to create change, foster belonging, and have lots of fun together as a community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we didn't get your name.
Adriana.
Adriana, thank you. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Patricia Ordonez Kim, and I'm a resident of Emeryville, and I'm applying for the Parks and Rec Committee because I'm passionate about creating inclusive community spaces and educational programming that serve all residents. As Executive Director of the University of California Graduate and Professional Council, I've built community programs, organized statewide events, and developed educational initiatives for over 63,000 students. I've also taught curriculum development at UC Riverside and designed educational programs for first-generation low-income high school students through the federal TRIO Upward Bound program. I believe parks and recreation are essential to community well-being and intergenerational connection. I'm eager to bring my experience in event planning, program development, and community engagement to ensure Emeryville's parks and recreation programs, as well as facilities, reflect our diverse community needs. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for applying. Are there any other members of the public or applicants for this position who would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll now bring it back for council discussion. Members, any discussion or motion? Member Pryforce.
Thank you, Mayor. So I recall going over the applications and of course the 2 impressive applications where I'm pronouncing it Adriana or Adriana? Adriana? Okay. Adriana and Patricia, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, thank you. And so Adriana and Patricia. Adriana, how do I pronounce your last name again? Threcold? Okay, Threcold, is that correct? Okay, thank you. So Adriana's, it seemed like Adriana's interest and background was heavily in emergency preparedness. And I was actually quite impressed in terms of your background and your interest around hazards and protecting our communities. Patricia's background in terms of not just education academic, but in terms of philanthropy. And so I had the opportunity to speak to a couple of people about the conundrum between the both of you, because both of your applications were very impressive. and what I got back was that that Parks and Recreation has had this sort of ebb and flow when it comes to membership. So that's something that's really important, is that we have people who can commit to sticking around, but there's also a need for programming, especially when it comes to how do we support in terms of grant making for opportunities like the Nature and Children's initiative that is tied to our Parks and Recs committee. And so I saw that Patricia was much more tuned to adding value to its members, and that possibly Adriana. I mean, it's too bad that our Public Safety Committee is in an advisory committee, but I mean, you could easily be our SAR for that and interacting with both our chiefs as relates to that. And so so I leave it to my colleagues, but I do favor Patricia, and I think Patricia's background. I remember even the Ford Foundation. Yeah, gosh, I remember the Ford Foundation. I remember the Ford Foundation was in the Twin Towers before it went down, and calling some friends of mine who were affected by 9/11 at the Ford Foundation. That I think that your background and familiarity with philanthropy could help with getting more money into our parks. And so no pressure, but that is something. And of course, because we don't have a lot of representation of Asians in our committees compared to the rest of our other communities, then I would probably, I prefer Patricia, but I wouldn't mind if it was Adriana as well.
Members, any other discussion or emotion? Member Solomon?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I feel like I'm really splitting hairs here because we have two great applicants, and I certainly hope that both of you, or whoever doesn't get appointed, will apply again for this committee or another committee. And I think I'm leaning the same way as Councilmember Pryforce. I think, again, slightly different reason, but I think the background of the professional background of programming and collaborating in that way, I think will be valuable that Patricia brings. So Adriana, is certainly nothing personal. I really appreciated the focus on disaster preparedness, climate resilience. I think all that's really important. And I hope that you, if this motion is successful, will continue to be engaged. But I think Patricia, slightly, from my perspective, ekes ahead. So I'm prepared to make a motion to appoint Patricia Ordonez Kim to the community member seat on the Parks and Recreation Committee ending in 2026.
Second.
Thank you, Member Welch. I just want to add before we take the roll, I was really impressed with both of your applications. And Adriana, I could really tell your enthusiasm and passion for the city and our green spaces. So that makes us immensely happy. And I do hope that you keep an eye on committee positions in the future. We get openings all the time. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next up, we have the Commission on Aging. This is item 6.1.3. And maybe we can start with an overview of what the committee does. Madam Clerk, would you be able to read that description?
The Commission on Aging provides input and recommendations regarding city policies, priorities, and feedback related to the health and wellness of seniors in the community. It's made up of 7 members, 6 residents, one with a 94608 within the 94608 zip code, and 1 community member.
Thank you. So we do have 2 positions available. This is a resident going to the 2026 term, and then a community member to be appointed through 2027. And the 2 applicants are Wendy Boyen-Liston and Calvin Dillahunty. And I'd like to open the public comment and ask any of the applicants that you are free to come up and speak, or members of the public who'd like to comment on this item, you can also come up to the podium. Welcome.
Thank you, and good evening. Thank you very much for considering my application for a position on the Emeryville City Council Commission on Aging. It would be an honor and a privilege for me to serve my fellow seniors living in Emeryville. Emeryville has many community activities for citizens of all ages, and the Senior Center is a great example of a community program designed for the enjoyment of senior citizens here. My husband and I have been residents of the Watergate community for just over 3 years. We really enjoy our home in this vibrant community. There are many senior citizens who are part of the Watergate community. I, along with my senior neighbors in Emeryville, share the challenges that we face as we age. I'm 76, you can probably tell, but maybe not. Many seniors, I would like to contribute to finding solutions to help my senior neighbors. Many seniors are choosing to live in our own homes rather than moving into retirement communities or senior centers. And I believe that community resources have to be expanded to assist seniors who are choosing to stay at home, because they face different kinds of challenges, mobility challenges for being one of them. But I know I can see the trend of not only financially, but moving into residential housing is expensive. And so we do try to be as independent as possible. Sometimes we lose our driving privileges. Sometimes we lose some of our health situations. But I can already see that there's some developments in Emeryville to help seniors. For example, the Powell Street redesign program, I think, is an excellent start to help seniors cross the road safely, to reach the Watergate community and over to the shoreline. Also, the Daylight program, Bill 413, is also going to help seniors navigate the roadways, not only the traffic through cars, but also seniors who are trying to find their ways through the community. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Wendy.
Take care.
Hello, Council. Calvin Dillahunty here. Good evening. So I'm interested in joining the Emeryville Commission on Aging because I believe a community that supports its elders says a lot about its values. As our population grows and ages, the needs of seniors are changing. It's not about the services, it's about how we connect and how we are able to be making everyone get along and be along. Whether that's reliable transportation, affordable housing, accessible housing, opportunities for social engagements. I want to help the city identify and strengthen those programs to help the elderly adults stay active and engaged within the community. I'm also very, very interested in how we build intergenerational connections. How do we bridge those elementary school people, maybe to be kind and be mindful to those elders, right? Emeryville is small enough to where we can actually model this and teach other communities around on how we do this and how an age-friendly city looks for all people contributing to Emeryville. I believe that if we invest in our seniors, it's not just a good social policy, it's about how we build a good and reliable, strong city. And I believe that if I'm able to be a part of the Commission on Aging, I'll be able to help maybe have some influence in that. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. Any other public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for discussion. Members, any discussion or emotion? Member Pryforce.
I believe there's 2 spots available. Okay, so
Yes, 2 applicants and 2 spots.
yes, so yeah, then I don't see an issue with advancing both applicants, but I will make a comment. The Commission on Aging has had issues as it relates to retention and members being able to stay as a part of the committee. Unfortunately, having to do with our up and down technology access issues that made it more difficult for people to be able to participate. We did ease some things as it relates to the amount that's needed for a quorum for the Commission on Aging. So that's improved some things. And next year, it looks like we might be able to open up teleconferencing again. And so then that won't be an issue as much. But between now and when we do open up teleconferencing, we really do need people who are going to show up. We need people who are not just going to show up, but show out in terms of energy, in terms of ideas. And I think that the Commission on Aging will be in good hands with the both of you serving. And so I also want to acknowledge Fran Quittel's statement about the Powell Street redesign project. And I hope that the Commission on Aging is able to engage with her and many members of the Watergate community and our growing senior community around Emeryville as it relates to future projects in Emeryville. We want to make sure that that the input of our aging community is included.
Thank you, Member Pryforce. Member Solomon, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, given that we have 2 interested candidates and 2 positions, I'm ready to move forward with a motion unless others have comments. So I would move Wendy, and Wendy, thank you for your application, and nice to see a new face. And certainly, if sounds like you're interested in bicycle and pedestrian issues, so encourage engagement in that committee as well. So would move Wendy to the community member through 2027 spot, and Calvin Dillahunty through for the resident seat through 2026.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next up, our final committee is the Housing Committee. We have 3 spots on this committee, all community members through 2027, and we've received 6 applicants. Madam Clerk, could you give an overview of what the Housing Committee does?
The Housing Committee provides input and recommendation regarding city policy, priorities, and feedback related to the city's housing policies and programs. It is made up of 7 community members. That's it.
Thank you. And before we open up the public comment, we did receive one statement from one of the applicants who was not able to be here in person tonight. And I'd like to ask the city clerk to read that brief statement. This is from Julia Drummond.
My name is Julia Drummond, and I've lived in Emeryville for the past 7 years as a BMR tenant. Prior to that, I lived in West Oakland and was born and raised in Berkeley. I'm very familiar with our immediate community and the surrounding areas. The city of Emeryville has been home for me and my 2 children over the past 7 years, and I care deeply about the people and families who live here. As a long-term renter and BMR tenant, I've experienced how complicated and unclear housing policies and regulations can be. Navigating these systems has not always been easy, and that is part of why I want to serve on the Housing Committee. I want to help make housing accessible, understandable, and fair for everyone, including the BMR residents who have built their lives here and want to stay in this community. I believe it's essential that the Housing Board includes someone who represents the perspectives of renters and affordable housing residents. There's no substitute for lived experience when it comes to understanding the challenges people face and the changes that could truly make a difference. I also hope to support workshops or community resources that help tenants gain a clear understanding of their rights and responsibilities. My goal is to help ensure that the city continues to encourage and include all residents, homeowners, renters, and BMR tenants alike in shaping policies that affect their daily lives. Thank you for taking the time to hear my statement and for allowing me to share why this is so important to me.
Thank you, April. I'll now open public comment for any of the other applicants or members of the public. Welcome, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name's Zachary Logan. Thanks for having us today. I walked here. It was lovely. I enjoy all that sunshine. From Texas originally, lived in Arizona, the Florida Keys, Monterey, California, which did not have as much sun, and most recently over in DC and Northern Virginia. And I can tell you I want to put my roots here in Emeryville. My experiences working on mayoral campaigns driven by a lot of housing policy. I've worked in real estate, and most recently, I am thankful for my experience that wrapped up 2 years in the Pentagon, working with the Department of the Army. But some of the factors that draw me to this community, one, location. It's hard to be this close to in any direction, being able to get access to any of the amazing things that the Bay has to offer. Number two, all the industry that drives in the community members that look to put down roots. But next, there are some trends that I look at as somebody that does currently own a home in Northern Virginia who looks to potentially have one day here. One being the trend of increased rentership, well above the majority, decreased home ownership, putting it the lowest in the Bay from my research, what I saw. And what I saw in Key West, what I saw in Austin, legacy communities and affordability, but then also booming growth. Austin, people drove out. The Keys, people who brought the industry, who worked in tourism, had to go further and further up the Keys. Emeryville doesn't quite have that position to expand. Expand up, I don't know that that's necessarily what the community members are looking for, but that's some of the challenges. The decisiveness, data-driven, strategic approach as a very engaged community member that I hope to bring as we look at state requirements, making sure that these challenges are met in a way that benefit the community. So thank you again.
Thank you, Zachary. Welcome, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Wendy Medeiros. I am a Euro-Asian working artist. I've lived in Emeryville for 17 years. I've also, on top of that, lived in one of the first artist community, live, work, loft communities here in Emeryville. I've seen directly how housing can shape people's stability, creativity, and sense of belonging. Through the years here in Emeryville, I've seen growth, whether it be development, construction, or the ecosystem of housing, and how this growth has brought opportunity and responsibility. I believe that strong housing policy succeeds when residents understand their rights and responsibilities and can better understand their own potential through the understanding of the housing policies. Informed policy makers and informed residents can fully participate in shaping the city and its future if this transparent sea of communication between property owners and city policy makers and tenants is achieved. So housing policy should work for every person, renter, homeowner, artist, families, affordable housing, and seniors alike. If appointed, I could bring a collaborative perspective. I understand the impact of policy decisions and want to make them accessible and equitable. I'm also a real estate agent, and my time is up.
Thank you
Okay.
for applying. Somebody would like to yield additional time.
I'm a real estate agent here in Emeryville, so it's important for my job to know the ins and outs of Emeryville, the new businesses, the amenities, and how to get around. I believe that that would be something that would be beneficial for the Housing Committee. And I am also a yogic educator, and I write curriculums for 200 and 300 international and local yogic studies programs.
Thank you, Wendy.
Good evening, Mayor Mora and members of the City Council. My name is Brooks Jessup. I'm a member of the current member of the Housing Committee, in which I've served for the past 1.5 years. It's been a difficult 1.5 years, and we lost most of our members during that time. We've often failed to make quorum. We once went for about 6 months in a row without being able to have a single meeting, right? So that's why I'm very, very happy to see such a strong applicant pool this time. This is really terrific, and each of the applicants have their strengths, but I do want to say a few words about one of these applicants, about Wendy Medeiros, because I know her personally and I had asked her to apply. And there are a few reasons why I encouraged an application from Wendy. First, she's lived in Emeryville for over 15 years and has both a deep knowledge and a strong connection to the city. Second, as anyone who's spoken with her at any length of time will know, Wendy is truly passionate about affordable housing and tenant protections. Third, as the city's recent survey showed, and as Councilmember Pryforce has mentioned a few times tonight already, Asian residents of Emeryville are very underrepresented on our advisory bodies. And fourth and finally, she can bring a much-needed artist perspective to the housing committee. The housing element identifies artists as a local opportunity group alongside families with children that require special focus with respect to housing needs in the city. Yet there are no artists among the current members of the Housing Committee and none among the applicants present here tonight either, aside from Wendy. With her combination of passion for housing justice and advocacy, her lived experience here in Emeryville, and her much-needed perspective as an artist, I think she would be a very valuable addition to the committee, and I urge the council to appoint her. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooks. Welcome, you have 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Carson. My husband and I have been living in the city of Emeryville as renters for 11 years now, living almost 8 of those years here on Park Avenue. I appreciate the proximity and convenience of Emeryville and enjoy learning about its at times sordid history. My husband and I have made destinations of many of the public artworks and continue to engage with the local art community when we are able. I'm a recently licensed architect with more than 5 years of experience in residential design and construction, including the process of permitting in various Bay Area jurisdictions. As a proud resident of Emeryville, I am interested in using my professional experience to give back to the city. The opportunity to sit on the Housing Committee would be a great start. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment and for applying. Any other members of the public or applicants?
Hello, City Council, Calvin Dillahunty. I've been living in the Bay Area for now almost 10 years, but I've grown to call Emeryville my home for the last 3 years, mainly because I love it here. I love the people here. I love the culture here. I love how safe it is here. Most of you might not know, but I am now married. I got married, and I'm growing a family here. So being a part of this housing committee and knowing that my family is impacted is something that I definitely want to have the opportunity to be a part of. Emeryville has done a good job in its policies like the Affordable Housing Ordinance, Measure C, Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and I'd like to be able to contribute on building onto those foundations. On a personal level, I deeply care about this community and building it. I deeply care about this community and building it. Housing isn't always just about units and zoning. It's about making people feel safe, feel stable, and have a belonging. Being able to serve on this community would be something that I would have a super pleasure in doing, to knowing that I'll be able to be impactful and have a long-term standing on how Emeryville reflects moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. Any other members of the public or applicants? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for discussion or a motion. Members? Member Pryforce.
So I have a question to all the applicants. Julia Drummond provided her statement, and it mentioned that they are a below market renter. Is there anyone who is applying who is a below market renter?
Applicants, feel free to come back to the podium to address the question.
Okay. Usually in instances like this and in the past, when we have such competitive folks, we usually will rank people. The amazing thing about Wendy is that Wendy comes with a pack, and which is her tenant union, and so which is really impressive what this tenant union has done in terms of mobilizing and organizing themselves and becoming a force in Emeryville. I've had the opportunity to lose a lot of sleep because I have been assigned not one, not two, but 4 fellows to focus on Emory Rising. And trying to manage all these different fellows and all of the information and research that they've been bringing to me, but it has been, in their research, they have talked a lot about what you all are doing. And so if I were to create a priority list, I do want to make a mention about a shout out to Jen Oakley. In that Jen Oakley, I believe it's one of the medical organizations that she is a part of, but specifically she focuses on lead cases, and so which is related to what you all are experiencing. And so I do want to give a shout out to Jen Oakley, and I also want to give a shout out to the qualifications of Jennifer Carson. And I think that Jennifer Carson, I think that you would make, I look forward to you applying for a planning commission seat. And so I think that I definitely can understand you joining the housing committee and then going on to the planning commission. I think the housing committee right now, in terms of what's going on in housing, in terms of the recent report of the renter explosion in Emeryville, which is to be expected and projected, but expected, projected, but non-represented. And then amongst the housing committee, I lean on the side of renters. Thank you, Zachary, for becoming a part of Emeryville, and it's good to see that you're also a renter as well. And so this is really exciting to see so many renters but I do prioritize Wendy at the top. I also want to give a shout out to Julia Drummond because there hasn't been, Brooke, yeah, right? There hasn't really been any BMR representation on the committee for quite some time. I don't know if ever, and I mean renters. You know, we've had a BMR homeowner, but not renter. And so, not my entire time I've been here do I recall a BMR renter being on the housing committee. So I definitely can see Julia being a 2, and in terms of it being a toss-up, the only thing with Calvin, and there's also not a lot of black males on that committee, and I do appreciate your representation, but you know, I have this thing about one person being on too many committees. You all seen it, like even some of my favorite people, and you're one of my favorite people, but still, because you know, if anything changes, then we have to, you know, there's 2 committees that we have to worry about, 2 or 3 different committees, and I also want to create opportunities for people who may not be, or they may have never been on a committee to be on a committee. And so, so it is a toss-up between Calvin and Zachary. And so probably leaning more towards, because of that, probably leaning more towards Zachary. And I also, you know, representation is really important on so many aspects. Geographic representation. We can't have most of our committee members coming from 2 or 3 locations in our city. There's just not enough representation. We need to have diversity when it comes to experiences. And so we also, I don't know how many vets do we have in our committees. And so, so having someone who has served in our armed forces, I think it would be good to have that kind of representation in our committees. And so, so I'm leaning towards Zachary as a third. So Wendy, number 1, Julia, number 2, and Zachary, number 3.
Thank you, Member Pryforce. Other thoughts, council members? Member Welch?
Just want to thank all the applicants and would second Brooke's statement about it's wonderful that we have such a strong applicant pool this time around. I definitely echo the sentiments as far as having a below market rate renter, especially a long-term renter such as Julia on the committee. I think that point of view is extremely important. I don't believe there has been one since I left the Housing Committee in 2021. I don't believe there was another below market rate renter. And so, and also because Julia did state she has a family, having families and below market families that are specifically below market rate renters, I think is an intersection of diversity and point of view that would be very important. I would also like to amplify Jen Oakley's application. Jen is a recent below market rate homeowner, but also has lived experience with homelessness and was able to completely transition into home ownership, which is also, I think, extremely extraordinary, especially in this day and age and this part of the world where homeownership is locked out for so many, even those who have considerable incomes. And having someone who has gone through the process to not just rehouse themselves, but transition into a homeowner, I think her point of view could be very helpful as we look at our programmatic priorities and how can we prioritize homeownership for those who are extremely vulnerable or who have experienced homelessness. I feel like is very important. Jennifer, I love your experience as far as being an architect, and feel like that is that technical experience around building actual housing is something that I would welcome. Also, Wendy, with that being said, Wendy's application, being an artist, knowing that it is a part of our housing element to focus on our artists, especially our co-op housing, which is an alternative method of property ownership and home ownership. I feel like her point of view and experience is something that we need, and an opportunity to, we always have artists that want to serve on the Public Art Committee, but having an artist that's a part of our Housing Committee, I feel like would be very important. So with that being said, my three choices would be Jen Oakley, Wendy, and Julia to serve as the three applicants, and I would like to make a motion to appoint those three to the Housing Committee.
We'll hold off on the motion just
Oh,
for a minute,
sure.
and then we can hear some additional preferences. Member Solomon, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did. Need to hold my hand up higher. Yeah, thank you everyone for applying. Of course, we lower the number of people on the Housing Committee, and then all these great people apply. So hopefully everyone who gets appointed will show up. So Valerie and Brooks won't have to be as stressed about missing their Housing Committee meetings. No, I think, yeah, lots of great applicants. My only, I know it's not an official motion, so I won't make a substitute motion, Member Welch. My only thought reflection is just reflecting kind of who is in person and here, and that's not to say that people who can't make it, they can't make it for all sorts of reasons, but just want to recognize that Jennifer Carson's here in person, and I think has a useful set of experiences, so and expertise. So that's my only deviation, I'd say, Member Welch. Yeah, we'll leave it with that.
So just to clarify, your preferences, Member Solomon, are Wendy, Jen, and Jennifer.
Wendy, Julia, and Jennifer. Julia.
So Wendy, Julia, and Jennifer. Got it. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is absolutely fantastic that so many of you applied, and I can see all the people who have applied are qualified. Zachary, very well spoken, and I hope you apply for other committees. If you don't get selected and you keep coming back, I think you'd make a strong candidate on many committees and would be very valuable to Emeryville. As far as Wendy, I'm so grateful that you've applied. It's fantastic that you have such diverse experience, as well as you offer so much in terms of lived experience here in Emeryville. So that's fantastic, and great contingent of supporters. I definitely would express a preference for Wendy, and Jennifer. Great qualifications, as Councilmember Welch has mentioned. You'd be a huge asset. In fact, everyone here would be a huge asset to this committee, and it's too bad we reduced the numbers because we had to meet quorum. So yeah, I would express a preference for exactly the members who have shown up, Wendy, Julia, and Jennifer. Julia hasn't shown up, I guess, but she did express a statement, and I think she would add value in terms of getting a perspective from somebody who's below market.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I do want to note, just from the application of one of the applicants, Jen Oakley, that really stood out, which sometimes there is a preference for people being in person, but I do want to note that Jen Oakley does serve on numerous boards. She's a lead case manager for the Rising Sun Center for Opportunity, an Emeryville nonprofit, and she works as a case manager for Lifelong Medical in the Permanent Supportive Housing Program. And she is selected for the First-Time Home Buyer Program, and she speaks about being forever grateful to the city of Emeryville for this opportunity. I do think Jen Oakley would be a strong applicant, so I do have a preference for her, and then I would also echo the majority of the council with Wendy and Julia were each quite strong. But I also do want to note, this is probably the strongest pool of housing committee applicants I have ever seen. The enthusiasm, the diversity, the talent is really, it just blows me away. And I'm thrilled to be in this difficult position. I think at any of the other appointment times during my last 3 years on council, I would have been quite happy to appoint any group of 3 out of this applicant pool. So I do want to encourage anybody who's not selected, please keep looking at committees, get involved in the city. We are deeply appreciative of your involvement and your coming here tonight. With that, I do want to ask the council, so we did see Member Pryforce, if you could just give me 1 minute. What I'd like to suggest, just because we do have 5 people who voiced support, 5 members who voiced support for Julia Drummond, and 5 people who voiced support for Wendy. And then we have 2 in support for Jennifer Carson and 2 in support for Jen Oakley. So I'm hoping to focus the discussion on that third spot between Jennifer Carson and Jen Oakley. And Member Pryforce, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry to be so enthusiastic. I recall that we used to, that we did have some sort of tally system during moments like this. But I did start mapping out everyone's sort of preferred, and it did definitely look like when it comes to the third spot, it is a tie between Jennifer and Jen Oakley, except for me because I had Zachary as number 3. And so if I were to choose out of Jennifer and Jen Oakley, I would choose Jen Oakley.
So you'd like to move your one of your preferences?
Yes, for the purpose of a tabulation.
Got it. Okay, so we do have 3 in favor of Jen Oakley. I'll go ahead and make a motion to appoint Julia Drummond, Wendy Medeiros, and Jen Oakley to the 3 community member positions extending through 2027.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The time is 7:43. This meeting is adjourned.
Mr. Mayor.
Congratulations to all of the appointees.
Thank you to all applicants.
Mr. Mayor, can I request a 5-minute recess? It's for a bathroom break.
We'll be taking a 5-minute recess. The time is 7:50. This is a regular meeting of the City of Emeryville as successor agency to the Emeryville Redevelopment Agency. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce is absent. Councilmember Solomon?
Here.
Councilmember Welch?
Here.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Present.
And Mayor Mora.
Present.
Thank you.
Members, do we have a motion to approve the final agenda?
Motion to approve the final agenda.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce is absent. Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have ex parte communications. Members, do you have ex parte communications to report? Seeing and hearing none. Now is the time for public comment on the consent agenda or items not on the agenda. All right, members of the public, you'll have 2 minutes. Please come to the podium. Welcome, Fran.
Thank you. I'm Fran Quatella. I live at Watergate. I serve on 2 committees in the city, but I'm here as a resident of Watergate and on Powell Street. About 2,000 people, or 15% of Emeryville's population, live at Watergate, a 1,249-unit condominium complex located opposite the Powell Street Police Station and Firehouse. This is an arterial road. They're running east and west. There are no public north or south roads. There's a constant flow of pedestrian, bike, car, and truck traffic on this arterial road, including the go-round, fire engines, ambulances, paratransit vehicles, trash trucks, construction trucks, moving vans, regular vehicular and bicycle traffic, and a convenient and well-established casual carpool location. The road seems to function very well and is often life-saving in an emergency. The complex is located opposite the Emeryville Police driveway. The accident rate is minimal and safety improvements are welcome, particularly for pedestrians. I attended the October 8th Public Works Powell Street presentation. This program appears to be a costly plan that decreases safety for visitors and residents, the 2,000 people who live every day and night on this peninsula, when some simple changes could be implemented now, improving the area at minimal cost and adding greater safety. Safety studies show that angled parking is far more unsafe, as drivers need greater visibility and more time to back out of spaces safely. Changing Powell Street parallel parking to angled parking would not only decrease the ability for large vehicles and the go-round, for example, to navigate the street on a daily basis, but also increase problems in an emergency.
Thank you, Fran. And if there's a member of the public who'd like to cede their speaking time, go ahead, Fran. You'll have 2 additional minutes.
Thank you. So what I spoke about was parallel parking is much safer than angled parking, especially as cars pull out of spaces, and also for pedestrians, it's much harder to see somebody behind you. Putting all of the parking on the north or residential side of the street also increases noise, emissions, and lights for Powell Street residents, the people who live there day and night. On my way over here, a neighbor asked me, in the new configuration with 2 bike lanes next to a car lane, will they all stop for a pedestrian they can't see? In summary, if you want to improve Powell Street and serve the entire community of bikers, pedestrians, visitors, commercial and emergency traffic, and the 2,000 citizens who live on this street, please fix the area that floods, install flashing yellow lights at crosswalks, and make city resources available to work on 2 aspects of life in the marina that could use your immediate help: evaluating and, if necessary, remediating marina soil stability and getting control of the rats and raccoons nesting under the public boardwalk. These are things that really need your attention now. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Any other members of the public? Welcome, Brooks.
Good evening again, Mayor Mora, members of the City Council. My name is Brooks Jessup. Many of you know me as a transportation nerd, but I also co-own a small design business here in Emeryville with my wife, Enzi. She's the creative and much less nerdy side of the equation while I handle the business. About a year ago, we set up our business in a live-work space at the Emory. And our experience there has taught me a lot about both the importance of the live-work program here in Emeryville and some of the issues that are threatening it. So before I moved into a live-work unit myself and did a little bit of research, I hadn't been aware of the central role that units like mine have played in our city's remarkable evolution from a noxious industrial zone into a vibrant residential community. From the 1980s up to the present day, one of the major ways former industrial sites have been redeveloped into residential buildings has been to convert them into live-work lofts. What's more, this abundant and affordable stock of live-work housing has attracted waves of artists to Emeryville over the years and put this city on the path to becoming the central hub for dedicated makers and innovators that it is today. The benefit that this vital artist community brings to the city is on full display right now during our inaugural Art and Culture Month. It feels like the whole city has been brought alive and activated by art. However, it wouldn't be an overstatement to say that none of this would be possible without a live-work program committed to specifically fostering our artist community. Unfortunately, the other thing I've learned from our experience as live-work tenants is that this precious resource is now actually in danger of being undermined. Recently, there's been a push to start using live-work for other kinds of business that are more customer-facing, like restaurants. I know this comes from a good place. We all want to promote more small business and activate the streetscape in our mixed-use neighborhoods, definitely. But encouraging restaurants to take over live-work spaces.
Would anybody like to cede their time? Go ahead, you have 2 more minutes.
Thank you very much. Encouraging restaurants to take over live-work spaces raises some serious issues. First, it conflicts with the city's stated commitment to use live-work primarily to support and continue to grow our artist community. To make restaurants the priority for these units is to take them away from artists. Second, the live-work units like the one that we live in were simply not designed to house a restaurant. There's no openable windows for ventilation, no convenient access to trash disposal, and no dedicated outdoor space. Encouraging a restaurant to move into a space like that is like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and it sets that business up for failure instead of success. Third, using these units for restaurants is inherently incompatible with using them for art. Restaurants tend to be boisterous and noisy, and often spill out of the unit into the surrounding space, but artists need tranquility in which to ideate, design, and make their art. So while I fully agree that we should try to activate our streetscapes, I don't believe this should come at the expense of our valued artist community. That's why I want to urge the council to create a special committee to re-examine our live-work program, whether it should be expanded to new uses like restaurants, and how that could be accomplished without displacing our local artists from their homes and livelihoods. This special committee, it seems to me, should be comprised of representatives from a combination of 3 of our existing advisory bodies: housing, economic development, and most critically, public art. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your comment. Welcome, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Enzi Chu. I'm a creative explorer and textile artisan based here in Emeryville. I have an atelier studio space in one of the live-work units at the Emory. My design education spans from AAU in San Francisco, FIT in New York, to St. Martin in London, where I focus on knitwear textile and its machine technology. I returned to the Bay Area after graduation and settled in Emeryville for its creative vibrancy. Emeryville is one of the few cities that understands and values artists and our unique lifestyle, how live and work seamlessly unfold and intertwine. We breathe in and out with observation, emotions absorbed in sleep, maybe a thought awakes, an idea lingers as we draw a sketch, rubbing a thin of fabric, cut through a wood ply, clicks down that shutter release button of our camera. The unintelligible process infiltrated with uncountable attempts to touch that intangible moment of being a creative is a rather inward journey first, often unnoticeable to the outside world, fragile but genuine. My personal artistic endeavor finally became achievable after I moved into our current live-work unit at the Emory. After years of balancing a day job with my creative project on the side, for the first time after graduation, I'm able to focus on my own creative work effectively within the same space as I live in. It's a beautiful one-bedroom live-work apartment with a wall of window grids facing the south side of Sherwin. 2 bay laurel trees sitting outside extend their branches into the view of our window as I sit behind my desk to do concepting work in the mornings when it's most quiet and tranquil. In the afternoons, I usually move onto the technical work where I measure and draft pattern blocks, illustrate out iterations of design ideas, cut and sew prototypes, and dwell onto handcrafted details. Over this past summer, new neighbors moved into the units next to ours, a photographer, a sculptor, and to everyone's surprise, a restaurant. We didn't think much of it at first until a constant barrage of loud music.
Would anybody like to cede time? You'll have 2 more minutes.
Thank you. We didn't think much of it at first until a constant barrage of loud music, parties, and pop-ups completely changed the atmosphere and have made it increasingly difficult for me to do my work. So I also urge the council to create a special committee to examine the way live-work units are being used in the city and to preserve them as spaces for nurturing true creativity and innovation. Thank you, city members, for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public? Seeing none, we will now move to the consent calendar. Members, do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We have no action items. The time is 8:02. This meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:02. This is a regular meeting of the Emeryville City Council. Madam Clerk, I'd like to note that all members are still seated from the previous meeting. Now's the time for approval of the final agenda. Members, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the final agenda.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have special orders of the day. There was not one published on the agenda, but we do actually have a proclamation. This is a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Emeryville, recognizing October 19th through 25th as United Against Hate Week. Whereas the United States is a nation of immigrants whose strength comes from its diversity, and the Constitution of the United States confers equality on all individuals, regardless of race, gender, orientation, religion, or political beliefs. And political policies and rhetoric have generated a toxic environment that can encourage the propagation of racist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, and other negative views by emboldened hate groups and individuals. And deep divisions within our country are the result of extreme ideology, further strengthening a cycle of distrust, suspicion, fueled by fear, anxiety, and insecurity. And the number of hate crimes across the United States has increased dramatically over the past few years. And the City Council of the City of Emeryville stands strongly in support of our diverse community, honoring and protecting every individual regardless of race, creed, color, gender, religion, ethnicity, nationality, orientation, or identity. And education, compassion, and cooperation are key to unlocking understanding and embracing differences between people. And in 2018, the City of Emeryville devoted a peace poll in City Hall as a way to celebrate United Against Hate Week and to serve as a daily reminder of our commitment to being a welcoming community. And the City of Emeryville seeks to join other communities locally and around the state in recognizing United Against Hate Week as an important step in strengthening and healing our communities. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Emeryville hereby recognizes the week of October 19th through 25th, 2025 as United Against Hate Week, a vital component to building bridges in communities, proclaimed by the Mayor of the City Council of the City of Emeryville at a regular meeting held Tuesday, October 25th, 2025. Next, we have announcement of commission and committee vacancies.
I have no report this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
And next, we have council member special announcements or reports on meeting attendance. Anything to report? Member Pryforce.
A recent report came out that was pushed by Senator Wahab around foster care youth. And there is a conference tomorrow, I believe, at Hayward City Hall at around 10 a.m. About the conference that pushes, I believe, Alameda County and other counties to recognize some of the issues that we have around foster care youth. And so, I discovered during my time on the Public Safety Committee with Mayor Mora that many of those young people who were processed with the most severe criminal justice penalties happened to be young people who did not have guardians. They were released to institutions, meaning that they were either group home or foster care youth, but they didn't have any parents. And so, I just want to recognize the conversation that I've had with Senator Wahab and Senator Wahab's office. And I also want to once again acknowledge the fellows who were assigned to Emory Rising and will be working with me on some critical developments related to Emeryville. And so I want to give a shout out to all of you. Thank you for taking your time to help make the city a better city. And I think those are my announcements. Thanks.
Any other special announcements? Member Pryforce.
I also want to apologize for I was incorrect in that the Housing Committee does have a BMR renter resident who's actually also the chair. And so I want to apologize to them, to Valerie and the team, and to thank them for helping me realize that. And then prior to her, it was a member Welsh, and so a huge gap there. But yeah, I just appreciate their service, and I am really excited to see that there's even further representation now of BMR renters on the Housing Committee.
Next, we have the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's no report from the city manager this evening.
Next, we have ex parte communications. Members, do you have any ex parte communications to report? Seeing and hearing none, now is the time for public comment on the consent agenda or items not on the agenda. Seeing no members of the public for this, we will now get to the consent calendar. Members, do we have a motion on consent items?
Motion to approve consent items.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon.
Aye.
Councilmember Welch.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr.
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have public hearings. 11.1 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville granting a waiver from the noise ordinance to Deacon Construction for one night of work beginning Thursday, December 4th at 8 p.m. and concluding on 8 a.m. And this is at 3938 Horton Street. If members are amenable, I'd like to propose waiving presentation in the interest of time. Any objection? Seeing none, I will now open the public hearing. The time is 8:10. If there are any members of the public who'd wish to speak on the noise ordinance, you can come to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor and Assistant, or Vice Mayor, excuse me, and Council. I am Janine Fuller. I work for Deacon Construction. We'll be the ones doing the work that night. And I just thought I'd step up here and see if there was anything you guys had questions about. We put together the letter and everything, so I was just checking, just seeing if you guys needed anything.
Thank you for coming. Member Pryforce, go ahead.
No problem. I drove 5 hours from Cambria just to be here tonight.
Mr. Mayor.
Because of issues that we have with our current communication system, for many residents, they still.
Oh, Member Pryforce, I apologize. We should probably close the public comment.
Sorry. Because it was asked a question. Sorry, confusion. Sorry.
Just one minute. As a matter of procedure, this is a public hearing, so I'll be closing the hearing, and then the council can ask additional questions.
Okay, all right, no problem. I was just making myself available for you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for coming. The time is 8:11, and the public hearing is closed. Members, any discussion or questions? Member Pryforce, go ahead.
Yes. So, because of the communication issues, sometimes I'll get calls when there's drilling or after hours. Is there a telephone number or a way for those who are informed, those who may not be informed about the any noise issues, if they do have noise issues, that they can reach out to you and learn more about? Like what's going on. Yeah.
Yes, actually, you guys have a very awesome planning department who's already got this in motion.
Okay.
We will have a sign that will be pre-approved.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll have a sign that will be pre-approved by planning.
Okay.
And then that'll be posted. And actually, it'll be my phone number or my superintendent's or both of our numbers. So, and being in the construction industry forever, it's 24/7, my phone is on. So yes, we will address any of that. And then I will have a representative Deacon here along with PG&E and our subcontractors. So it'll definitely be a very large sign that will pre-approve.
Got it.
Okay? So did you want to put your phone number on there? I'm happy to
Okay.
extend that offer if you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be happy to take the calls, and then that way we can address it immediately if anyone calls.
Yeah, it's mostly DMs. They send me the DMs. I didn't do a deep dive into it. Will it be any of the noise happening after hours?
So it'll be from 9 to 9, or 9 to 8, 10 to 8, 10 to 8, because they close at 9, so we're going to queue up, and then we'll start the generator at 10.
Okay.
10 at night, yeah.
10 at
and then
night. Okay.
Then we'll shut it all down by 8 in the morning.
Okay. And Navar, whatever they're able to gain access to, like a telephone number or anything, it's 24 hours. Like there's something that 24 hours that they can actually gain access to that kind of information, or?
Yeah, so what the resolution states is that, so just to clarify, it's 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., 2 hours setup, 2 hours breakdown, with majority of work happening between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Okay.
And there needs to be a sign that's visible from the public right-of-way, in this case, that'd be 40th Street, with contact if there's any concerns about the noise. And then, as Janine said, she will be that point of contact, and they're required to live answer that phone. So it cannot go to voicemail, it cannot be deferred. It needs to go directly, and that will be for that duration of time. It's not a number to call at other times. The sign will not be up for like weeks and weeks.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Question, and I guess this is a pop-up to anybody among staff. Is it possible for us to add these things to our website, kind of a little bit more front and center, so that, I mean, just in case no one's able to see a sign or anything, because I really do get the calls that, late at night or at strange hours, and they don't see a sign, they didn't look the email or anything like that, but sometimes they will check the website. Is it possible for like something just like, hey, you know, if you're hearing noise or if this is what's going on, can kind of a little bit be featured on the website. Is that possible?
I'll defer to that.
Thank you. We'll take a look at that for you, Councilmember.
Okay.
I will say that, in line with your concern, that a 300-foot notification was sent out, and then another notification will go out that's on the responsibility of the applicant, and they have to provide a receipt showing that they've sent those letters out again to the 300 saying this has been approved and this is when the work will happen, and with that phone number. So all the people closest to that will be notified. Because of the location at Total Wine, that it's not that many people. It was only when I think about 95 notices went out. So the other thing is the noise level for this particular project is no louder than the street noise. We're not talking about drilling or pile driving or something that everyone's going to hear and feel the vibration. It's about the same volume as a conversation we're having right now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you, Navar. Thank you, Janine. Any other questions or discussion or a motion? Member Solomon?
I looked at you first.
I'm going to mess up the public hearing motion. So, Member Welch.
I make a motion to approve the noise ordinance waiver for the dates and times set forth in the, what Chad said, within the ordinance.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
This brings us to action items. Thank you, Janine. We have item 12.1. This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville approving the purchase of 2 artworks for the city's annual Purchase Award Program.
Good evening. I'm Amber Evans, Community Development Coordinator. Next slide, please. I'm bringing to you tonight an action to accept purchase of a recommendation from the Public Art Committee. This is a program that has seen lots of art, and I think you've seen these before. So next slide, please. Just to let you know, we continue to have excellent panels. Christine Kops was our professional. A PAC member is always represented. Sharon, newly on staff, joined us this year. Celebration of the Arts was represented by the estimable Gwen. And Diane Martinez, formerly of your dais, represented the community. Thank you. Next slide. We have a rigorous process that's been the process used same criteria over the last 20 years of the program. This resulted in 11 works being scored. Of those works, 3 really rose to the top and were further discussed for appropriateness purchase. Next slide, please. Of those that were, I've always felt bad that those that got talked about and ranked never got their names up, so I'm just putting them up there. They're part of the record. Next slide, please. Recommended to you tonight is the purchase of 2 works. They're expected as a pair because of the location that's suggested. Each work was admired, and different people recommended one of the 2 works and then agreed the pair would suit appropriately. It's oil on canvas. These are large, 36 by 45, each in other dimensions. Next slide, please. And next slide, we'll see them in the context that they're proposed in. Next slide, please. These are proposed for ECCL, Building A. For those of you probably know this room, it's got a lot of white space. The acoustic panels make installation of art on many of the walls very difficult, and lower placements in a school site would be difficult. We've had some experience with that. And so these works really lent themselves to being big, bold, holding this very large wall, and being able to be put out of the fingerprints. A comment I've received from Community Services that we might need to do a little cleanup of the wall, and so that's considered in the installation, as well as meeting with school staff. Next slide, please. Also through the process, we've always had an honorable mention. Victoria and the City, Capricia of Love was a really lovely piece that the panel enjoyed, not only the work as its visual element, but also had a composed work. The artist had a new composition with the work. So it engendered a lot of conversation. Next slide, please. The budget tonight, previously I've asked for appropriations. We don't need to do that. Tonight we have an annual budget that this falls within and our costs, and this does include a party that you'll all be invited to. There'll be a postcard announcing that to 100 or more. The artist also extends invitations, and we'll be able to do that over at ECCL, probably in January, just because of some of the coordination that we need to do. I think that's my final slide. Next slide, yeah. The recommendation is to purchase the works and to acknowledge the honorable mention. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Members, any questions? Seeing none, I will now open public comment. Seeing no members of the public, we can bring this back for discussion. Members, any discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve the purchase of Spinnaker and acknowledge the honorable mention.
I will second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have item 12.2, resolution of the City Council of Emeryville amending the City Council Rules of Procedure for meeting times, order of business, agenda, publication dates, teleconferencing procedures, public comment procedures, and other procedural or legal updates to align with current practice, and the introduction of a new agenda management system.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. April Foran, City Clerk. I'll be doing the presentation on the update and amendments to the City Council Rules of Procedure this evening. So a little background on the project and what the goals are of updating this particular iteration of the Rules of Procedure. In February 2024, Council approved a new agenda management system. It's called One Meeting, and we're going to be rolling it out very soon. It is the replacement technology for what we currently use, which is Legistar. With this change, we have an opportunity to make some efficiency improvements, decrease staff resources, reduce redundancy, and streamline meeting management. That's with the consolidation of the agendas and some other recommendations that staff has. Additional updates in the rules of procedure include aligning our current practices to reflect the procedures in the rules of procedure, and then updating a few things to get us in line with current state law. The first major change that we're recommending is to consolidate the agendas. 4 to 5 agendas per meeting is confusing not only to the public, but to staff and the City Council. Very few other agencies have as many individual agendas as we do. So we're recommending to modernize the agenda process by consolidating the agendas. It simplifies it and it requires less staff time to produce. How we go about doing that is we add a line to the council agenda that says that all City Council meetings serve as meetings of the affiliate bodies when items are on the agenda. So when there are successor agency items on there, those will be labeled, and the City Council is just acting as a successor agency in those instances. We will still keep a standalone closed session and MESA agenda while that agency still exists. The next major update that we're recommending is a new regular meeting start time. Our regular meetings currently begin at 7:16 p.m. Staff is recommending either a 6:30 or 7 p.m. start time. How we came up with these is we looked at other local agencies, smaller cities in Alameda and Contra Costa County, and then Berkeley and and Richmond and Oakland. Oakland starts at 3:30. Obviously, they have a very large agenda. And then the other start times vary between 6 and 7 p.m. What a 6:30 or 7 p.m. start time functionally means for Emeryville is that we start about 45 minutes earlier than that with our special meetings and closed sessions. So generally, we have a 15-minute closed session and some type of special meeting or study session. So the start time would be 5:45 or 6:15 p.m. In the staff report, we were only recommending 6:30, but after some feedback, came back with that 7 o'clock start time either. So staff would be happy with anything that isn't 7:16 p.m. The next recommendations that we have are moving and changing around the order of business on the agenda. So this is the way the items appear on each agenda. We're recommending that we remove approval of final agenda from special meetings. Special meetings, like for instance, a study session, is generally only a single subject item. There shouldn't be a lot of additions or subtractions from those meetings, but council can always do that by a majority vote. It just doesn't require that line of approval of final agenda. A lot of these things are recommendations to get us to the meat of the meetings faster, moving things towards the end, realigning things so that we're getting to the public hearings, we're getting to the action items, we're getting to the study session items faster. And one of those recommendations is to move the announcement of commission and committee vacancies under department head reports. It's not leaving, it's just going towards the end of the agenda. So where you typically get the planning commission update, there'd also be an update in that area on any commission and committee vacancies. Another recommendation is to remove non-agenda public comment from special meetings. So take, for instance, a study session, a single subject study session. There's still going to be public comment on that one item, but there wouldn't be non-agenda public comment on anything on that agenda. It would still exist on the regular city council meeting. But take, for instance, as we saw tonight during the successor agency, we had a lot of non-agenda public comment that wasn't actually successor agency business that should have happened during the regular council meeting. So it would still exist there and there would still be an opportunity for that. And then we're also recommending to add a standing item that all ordinances are deemed read by title only and all further reading waived. Ordinances would still come back for a second reading at another meeting. But Emeryville does something a little different here, where we do 2 votes on a single ordinance, and the city attorney reads it, and then the city council votes to adopt it. What this would do was it would be a standing consent item, just saying that those ordinances are deemed read by title only, and then when we got to the item, the city council would just vote on adopting that first reading of the ordinance. Again, it would come back a second time, as all ordinances are required to do. And then the last item is to remove the list of upcoming and significant agenda items from the agenda. This lives at the bottom of the agenda. It's often inaccurate, and it's hard to keep up. And the reason being is our agenda list that staff use to help the city manager create the agenda is a living document. It's constantly changing. We're constantly moving things around. There's sometimes just a need to adjust things, and so it's not a very accurate list to begin with. The next item, the next major item, is moving the agenda publication dates. We currently publish 11 days prior to the meeting. Our recommendation is to publish 6 days prior, so this would be the Wednesday prior to the meeting rather than the Friday before. We took a look at local agencies to see when they were publishing, and most of them had a 3 to 5 day advance publish. So they published 3 to 5 days in advance of their meeting. Moving the publication date closer to the meeting allows the most current information, and it removes the need to constantly republish the agenda. In 2025, out of the 15 agenda sets that we've done, so a set of agendas would be an evening of meetings, we've republished at least one agenda in that set 12 times. So people are just waiting for that republish to come out. And again, it's confusing to the public and to staff. State law posting requirement is only 72 hours. We're certainly not suggesting that, but we would like to move it closer to the meeting date at 6 days. This is a look at other local agencies, and this is just these cities don't necessarily have any, Berkeley, Oakland, and Richmond obviously are our neighbors, and so they're listed there. Berkeley has an 11-day lead time like we do, but Berkeley's agenda packets are often 1,500 pages. So they have regularly have between 35 and 40 items on consent alone. So they need 11 days to review that. Oakland, I had a hard time figuring out when they publish, but again, very large city, very large agenda packets. Other agencies that are more our size, just based on population, are somewhere between 3 and 5 days. And again, we're suggesting 6 with a Wednesday publication date before our Tuesday meetings. Other amendments in the rules of procedure, we're updating the teleconference procedures to align with state law. Some new things went into effect in January of 2025, and we just haven't updated the rules of procedure since then. There will be more amendments under new teleconferencing rules coming in 2026, but we are just updating from 2025. Our public comment procedures do not match what we currently do. We currently have, and for the last about 2 years, allowed 2 minutes per speaker, and we'd like to embed that into the rules of procedure. The presiding officer always has the ability to make changes to that as needed, and then match our written comment process to the current practice. Rules of procedure currently say that we read written comments into the record, and we stopped doing that after we received, after the Zoom bombing and some hate speech that we had received. One of the other things to point out is that the mayor and vice mayor appointments currently are stated in the rules of procedure as taking place in November. We know that that isn't possible anymore with the election certification taking at least 30 days. So it makes sense to move that to the first meeting in December and just memorialize that in the rules of procedure document. So summary of the staff recommendations. Move the regular meeting start time to 6:30 or 7 p.m. Update the agenda order of business with all of the things that we discussed and the 5 items that are listed here. Move the agenda publication date to 6 days prior to the meeting. That's the Wednesday before. Update the public comment and written comment procedures to align with our current practice. Update the teleconferencing procedures to adhere to state law, and implement a few other minor amendments as were outlined in the staff report. Implementation, if approved, these changes would be instituted as soon as practical. I left that a little vague because I'm not quite sure when we can implement a few of them, but the new meeting start time could begin in December, could begin in January. The agenda publication definitely wouldn't start until January because we need to redo our whole agenda process. And then other changes could occur as soon as the November 18th publication, which is our first agenda that will be produced with the one meeting system. That is the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, April. Members, are there any questions? Seeing no questions, I'll now open public comment. Seeing no members of the public, I'll close public comment and we can bring it back for discussion or a motion. Members, what are your thoughts? Member Solomon?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, April, for suggesting all of these. I think that list seems reasonable to me in terms of the start time, which is probably the most minor change, but may have the one that people have the most opinions on. I think I would opt for 7 o'clock, just because, you know, it's 6:30, then we're starting meetings at 5:45, and that just gets to be a little bit early. And as much as I'd like to end the evening earlier, I want to make sure that we can all be here on time. I can be here on time. So my preference would be for 7, but I think the rest of the items I'm in favor of.
Member Welch?
I just want to second Member Solomon's comment about the 7 p.m. start time. I think that's solid. If we have to do something before 6:30 is still fine. It's when we kind of get put into that 5:30 realm, it can be a little challenging with pickups and getting home from work. So I think giving us a little bit of breathing room after 6 o'clock, but then not too late, I'm agreeable to that.
Other thoughts? It's, Member Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I would defer to the parents on this council.
Takers?
Caretakers, well, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I do echo the sentiment on the 7 p.m., especially considering the tendency to start the 45 minutes earlier with the special meetings. It's things become tight at 5:45, but I'm also excited to get rid of the bizarre 7:16 start time. So I think 7 p.m. Seems quite reasonable. And then also just commenting on the, I think the rest of the changes seem quite reasonable. I appreciate seeing the other jurisdiction publish dates, being 3 to 5 days. So 6 would put us, slightly beyond our peer cities. And also, yeah, I do realize the republishing of the agendas is time-consuming, and I know that costs staff time. It's also confused me at times where I think I've seen the agenda and then I might miss something that was republished. So I can see how that might trip up members of the public as well. Any other thoughts or emotion? Member Solomon, go ahead.
If no other thoughts, I'll make a motion to approve the recommendations as outlined on that last slide with the 7 o'clock start time.
Oh, there's one more comment. Member Pryforce, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have gone over everything, and I'm sure that that folks in Emeryville know that democracy is really important to me. That our process, as much as possible, is transparent and fair and accessible to the people of Emeryville. And going through this this process, when I first saw it, read through it, and then in my meetings with the city clerk and city manager, I can say that I didn't see anything that would have been anomalous or have an issue as it relates to keeping our meetings as fair and accessible and transparent as possible to everyone. If anything, it actually streamlines many state requirements and actually makes it a little even easier to follow online as well, so that public comments aren't like everywhere, for example. Yeah, in terms of the times, yeah, I was flexible with either. It is a little unfair to compare to some cities where the council members are paid, and thus, it's more of a full-time job. And so they can be there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and stay there, as they darn should, because they get paid for it. Yeah, it's a bit different for many of us who have a whole lot going on, as well as I want to make sure that this seat 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now is accessible as possible to anyone. So for those who are working single parents, for those who may not have, let us say if we don't get our childcare right in 40, 50 years in this country, that this seat is as accessible as possible. And so no red flags, and so yeah, I have no problem with it moving forward.
Member Welch?
I just want to second Member Solomon's motion.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Solomon?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Carr?
Aye.
And Mayor Mora.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Next, we have department head reports.
None for me this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
And now, future agenda item requests from council members. Member Pryforce.
I don't have a future agenda item prepared, as this was just raised by a member of the community, but I'd like us to take a look at the Live Work program to see if, and I'm not sure where that goes. Is that housing? It sounds like it might be a zoning issue, and so, but yeah, if we can take a look at the Live Work program to see if there's anything about it that needs to be modernized, or this disruption that was noted with restaurants filling these spaces.
Member Pryforce, at this time, given how new this information is, would you be amenable to discussing this with staff, who I'm sure can share more information?
Yes, Mayor.
Does that work for you, LaTanya?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Great. Any other future agenda items? Seeing none, the time, Member Pryforce, go ahead.
So I'd like to present to this body the question of the Pledge of Allegiance returning to this chambers for discussion, which I will demonstrate. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Members, with a show of hands, is there support for adding the Pledge of Allegiance to a future agenda? Seeing one, the motion fails. Time is 8:42. This meeting is adjourned.